Let me bring up that document. That's probably going to be important.
A little bit.
I'm really bad about doing homework, and I'll admit
It,
that to the audience right now.
it's all right. You have your hot takes as usual. I think you can wing your way through it. All
I
right.
do. Y'all laugh at me, but 9 times out of 10, I'm winging shit.
That's okay. That is completely okay. So, oh shoot, where was it? I want to reopen that window. All right, history. Reopen. There we go. All right.
Debuting my new look tonight.
What's that?
Debuting my new bangs tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Looks good.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
So now looks like once I get past this wonderful political ad, I can see if we're live.
I hate political ads.
All right. Looks like we are live. So let me start tweeting all this out. All right. Let me mute that. We don't hear our echo. 21. Yeah, we're 21. We're legal. We're 21. We're legal tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's tweeted out. Let me put it in the group chat once we get out of the other account. Come on. There we go. Send by message. All right, we are all tweeted out. Got that up there. All right. Well, thank you for pinch hitting for Travis. Well, actually, both Travis. Actually, both Travises. Travi.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. Get that pulled up. Get that pulled up. All right. See if someone's going to join in real quick before we go live. Are you going to be on with us on Friday night or no?
I'm aiming for it.
Yes. If Greg can provide me the dark web link, I'll be glad not to pay money for it.
I never like dark web links. I'm always so nervous about them.
Oh yeah, true. Oh yeah, by the way, I'll do a quick countdown if you want to record on your end just in case. Actually, no, record on your no, you're good. I'll do a countdown when we're ready, but whenever you've got it pulled up, I'll give you a countdown. You'll just send that to Snell because he'll do the editing tonight. I usually just put it in my Google Drive and share it with him, and it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I have a folder that I've shared with him, and I just upload everything to that.
Wait, that's not Travis. That's right, Clay. It's not Travis. All right. So Fanboy Clay is in. So I say we go live. Whenever you're ready to record, I'll give you a countdown.
I am recording on Audacity right now.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Boom.
All right. I'm recording. All right. So 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From comics, TV, and movies, we will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the Negative Zone to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. My name is the Uncanny Chris.
And I am the woman without fear, Katie Gilstrap.
Alliance Assemble. How you doing
Oh,
tonight, Katie?
I'm doing good. I'm pinch hitting, so I'm
Yes.
doing what I can.
Yeah, it's as Fanboy Clay's already pointed out in the chat, you are not either Travis Snell or who the original guest host was going to be, Travis Hines.
That's exactly right. I'm pinch hitting for the sub.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yes, and I appreciate it. Yes, Travis Hines was supposed to join us, but he is now a very studious student. He may be joining us in the live chat tonight later, but we wish him well in his studies at that point. But I appreciate
Yes,
Katie.
may the force be with you.
Yes, may the force be with you. So let me get some network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, where every single day we have you covered from all geek and nerdom angles. On Monday, we have my show, World's Finest True Believers, where we dropped a new show this week covering V for Vendetta with Nick, the author of Order of Dust. So check it out. On Tuesdays, we've got DC Alliance. On Wednesdays, we got this show. So those of you watching live, it's Tuesdays, but for everyone else, Wednesdays. And then on Thursdays, it is Katie's day.
Hey, but that's changing.
It is. Now, can you explain that at that point? Because you said it once, and then I haven't got a chance to kind of follow up with you about it. So talk to us about what's going on.
So Slice of Film is still staying bi-weekly on Thursdays. However, Star Wars Alliance will be moving to having a show drop every Sunday. Now what that's going to entail is that every other week we'll cover news and maybe an additional topic. But then on Sunday mornings you can join us for Coffee in the Mandalorian, where me and Nathan, as well as some other people on the network, are going to drop in and talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian. And then right after that, we'll get the episode edited and then dropped into your feeds for hopefully a Sunday afternoon release or a Monday release. And so what that's going to entail is every other week, Nathan and I will go live on Thursdays with the news and everything of the sort. So we'll do a live show then, and that will cover our news and everything. And then every Sunday starting November 1st, which is in 2 weeks. I know that's hard to believe, right? But November 1st, we'll go the next 8 weeks, Sunday mornings. Have not figured out the exact time yet. But basically we'll get everyone involved that we can and just talk about the latest episode of The Mandalorian. So feel free to come join us then.
Awesome news. Thank you for explaining that. It's gonna be cool. Hopefully, I can drop in for at least one of those Mandalorian episodes, since I'll be watching them along with everyone else. So yeah, as you heard, some changes coming, but some good stuff coming on from Star Wars Alliance. And like you said, Slice of Film is still going every other week. On Fridays, we got superhero discussions with Greg and Travis Hines. Looking at all the animated features they're looking at right now. I think they're doing a retrospective of way back when superhero discussions was doing with Amazing Spider-Man. And then on Friday nights, we got Super Civil Servants going live, checking out all the hosts of the network, looking at the Week in Geekdom. And then we are going to be, and then that drops on, the audio drops on Saturday morning. And then on the weekend, we have Weird Science Marvel Comics rundown on with Jim on Saturdays, and then Weird Science DC Comics rundown also with Jim, looking at everything on both sides of the main publishers of all the issues coming out at that point. We do have a new show coming on the network that we will be announcing on Friday night on SCS Live. So be ready for that. We're very excited to have this new show and this new host join our network. So just it's going to be a very exciting time. So network's growing. We have a Patreon. If you want to join our Patreon, for $1, giving us in the tip jar saying we're doing well. And then we have a $5 tier where you get a whole bunch of stuff. You get ad-free episodes of every episode. You get early drop episodes such as World's Finest and Super Discussions dropping early. Star Wars Alliance also drops early at that point as well. And then additionally, you get exclusive access to content from the amalgam chats to top 10 lists to early access episodes. We're getting ready to schedule our next amalgam chats, so that'll be hopefully scheduled soon so we can get it in just in time for the end of the month.
No, I want in on this one.
Yes, we're gonna have to get it all assembled. Even if it's a quick one, we'll get it in at that point. And so at that point, I think, oh yes, and we have the big event on November 7th, the
Yes.
the Geekverse 24-hour stream benefiting the Children's Hospital, and then the big trivia showdown between Geekverse and Super Civil Servants, which I've got some bones to pick with both sides.
All I know is, why are we only including the theatrical stuff in Star Wars trivia? At least give me the Clone Wars. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Hey, yeah. Yeah, I've got some bones to pick with Mr. Snell for choosing it on my wife's birthday. And then I've got bones to pick with both him and Greg for not even acknowledging me being a part of the crew for it. So I've got a little bit of beef to say. I don't know which side I'm joining in on right now. It's going to be very interesting. That's why, if you've been paying attention to whenever Hines or Taylor or Greg start and Snell start chiming in on the Twitter, you see me only posting gifs of Sting. So consider me Sting for right now. And if you're a fan of wrestling, you will know what that means. So yeah, check it out November 7th. I'm not a fan of wrestling. we'll have to fill you in later.
Well, I do want to mention, along with the November 7th thing, we do make some money from podcasting. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm donating what I make in October to the charity stream, and I'm matching that. So the way you can do that, if you can't support to the charity stream in and of itself, then you can donate to, or you can listen to, excuse me, any episodes, and that does help contribute to Geek versus charity stream. It's for the British Columbia's Children's Hospital. So that's just one way that y'all can get involved. So listening to this episode counts, because yeah.
Yes, it's good. I'll definitely be donating at that point as well. Just it's always to a good cause. So very proud to be a part of that in some way, shape, or form. Even if the trivia is up in the air for me on what side I'm joining in on. So we'll see. Maybe when we go live on SCS on Saturday, maybe Greg and I can see exactly what's going on between us.
Now, come on, Chris. You always hit the button or call your name like so fast, and I'm like, wait, I knew the answer to that, but Chris is just like jumping all over it. So we need you on the SCS team, okay?
We'll see. We shall see. All right. So now we got the Patreon, we got the plugs, we got everything out of the way. So let us get into all the big news. So our main topic is, it seems to be the number of weeks our main topic has been this, but we have four big topics that revolve of one main web crawler, and that is Spider-Man 3. Whether we want to call it Can't Go Home Again, or Home Invasion, Home Slice, whatever we want to call it. The week has brought us a lot of Spider-Man news. So yet again, it is our main topic for the on top of the rest of the news tonight. So we're going to start with the story coming out of MCU Spider-Man 3. Sony officially responds to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield casting rumors. Nathan is in the chat. Yes, Nathan is alive and well in the chat. Home on the range. Yes. So yes, this is coming from the direct at that point, picking up the story. The rumors surrounding everything since, the Electra rumors, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield could be joining in. We've heard rumors of Miles Morales. We'll cover that in a little bit as well. Kraven the Hunter as another villain. We'll also cover the idea of the Spider Slayers coming in. Finally, someone decided to finally reach out to Sony and surprisingly, instead of being silent, Sony answered about the rumors about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. E.T. Canada. So Hines and Snell will be very proud. Canada reached out to Sony, and they responded about if there's any truth to it of Garfield and Maguire joining in. In response, Sony Pictures representative has a short, simple answer: those rumor castings are not confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very interesting statement in my eyes. Instead of just saying they're not true, we deny all these rumors, no comment. Not only did they comment, they just simply said those rumored castings are not confirmed. I don't know. What do you think about that choice of wording? I think everything these days is done for a reason. I find their word choice peculiar.
Well, at this point, my best guess on how this got out is it's one of those leaks that the studio lets go to see what people think about actors returning or actors coming onto a movie. And at this point, it could honestly have been to show, because Tobey Maguire doesn't seem like the type of person that wants to come back to this. Like it doesn't seem like his type of personality. No matter how I feel about the man, and his acting skills, like he just doesn't seem that type of actor. So that might have been something to kind of showcase, hey, people do want you to actually come back into this. Andrew Garfield, I don't think he was given enough of a chance. I think he'd happily come back to the role. So I think this was more for Maguire's benefit as a whole versus Garfield. So to me, Sony responding to that definitely makes me think more towards the lines of the studio was the one that leaked that and purposefully leaked that information to showcase it. So
yeah, it is interesting. We'll get into more denials or questionable misdirection later on in the show. At that point, seems to be the theme of the week. We see studios a lot of times. We see agents. We see casting directors do this all the time in the sense of bringing in other people, putting misinformation out there to test the waters. At this point, I don't think they're, even if, like you said, you're not the biggest fan of Maguire at that point, I think when it comes down to, would we really like to see this as a possibility? I think so. I think for the fans, just to see the idea of a Spider-Verse into the MCU, even if it's for a fleeting moment, it would be interesting. I think it definitely would become, next to Doctor Strange, probably the most anticipated movie coming out of the MCU right now, and whenever we start phase 4, but if it really doesn't happen at that point, it stinks. I still think I still hold true that if it doesn't happen in this, I think there's a much stronger opportunity for it to be doing in Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse 2. I think that's even a more of a stronger possibility to get them, either one of them, back for a voice acting, a voice casting. That would be, what do you think?
Well, I mean, even if you chose to bring them into the Spider-Verse, I mean, the whole point of Spider-Verse was to introduce a multiverse. I mean, that's the perfect opportunity to attempt a blend of animation and live action. I mean, heck, that could be your introduction point for Miles Morales. A live action version is kind of do it on Spider-Verse. I think Spider-Verse was a lot more successful than some of Sony Spider-Man movies as a whole. Like, I'm not a fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies. I'd care less if he comes back. But point blank, let's get that right on the bat.
There we go. There's Katie with her. If you never heard Katie, she has some hot takes on this network, and that's one of them.
I am the woman without fear. I did a whole podcast on why I strongly dislike Tobey Maguire. So personally, I think Spider-Verse would be the perfect opportunity for Sony to utilize their Spider-Man range. I mean, that's the option for them with Spider-Man, in my opinion. Because Spider-Verse was just, it was so successful. So yeah, I could see that Maguire coming back for a voice acting opportunity with it.
Mm-hmm.
You showcasing your poster in the background.
Yeah, there we go. See, there we go. We got a little bit of Tobey Maguire action always there.
Yeah. No, and I leave it perfectly open to me, but his puppy dog cry, like dead puppy, like I can't stand it. I truly cannot. So
Oh yeah, I will agree with you on that. I mean, I think both Maguire and Garfield have their strong points. I do like Tom Holland's probably the best out of the three. But every one of them perfect? No. But I do, if I had to choose, it'd probably go Holland and Garfield and Maguire, even though, yes, I've got Tobey Maguire, but that is my favorite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man 2 at that point. That movie did an outstanding job with so many of the different Spider-Man storylines at that point. Plus, I just love that poster with just the idea of saying choice. But yeah, I mean, we'll see exactly. Looking at the chat, Nathan's going Spider-Man homeboy. Sarah's saying, I want to see Craven on the big screen. Yes, definitely would love to see that. Fanboy Clay, raise your hand if you've been personally victimized by Katie's hot takes.
Clay,
oh,
I'm not sorry.
Trust me, Clay, we've just got started. It's the first story. We're ready for some more.
Adam, what are we talking about next?
Yes, what are we talking about? Well, continuing on with Spider-Man, we got an interesting kind of leak that our friends over at Murphy's Multiverse broke out of this weekend. What had happened is that this has been taken down, but on Friday evening, an audition video was shared with him, and it was labeled Titans. Well, the more he looked at it, it appeared to be an audition for a Spider-Man project of some sort. Now, he even acknowledges this might not even have been for Spider-Man 3. It could have been a fan kind of audition. It could be a lot of things, but the video does not exist right now. And so they have some possible screenshots out there, but if it were truly for Spider-Man 3 and if its contents were related to the actual script Spider-Man, it does reveal some pretty heavy spoilers. So I'll warn that up front. So it does. The two-part video begins with a young African-American man out delivering food for what appears to be his parents' restaurant. The young man is stopped by NYPD because he is wearing some sort of Spider-Man gear. When questioned by the police, he states that he's a fan of Spidey, but it's clear that in whatever universe this takes place in, being a fan of Spidey is not okay. This would certainly seem to line up with where we left off in Spider-Man Far From Home. The second part of the video sees the young man first in the conversation with his father, then cousin. When talking to the second person, a breaking news report airs on TV indicating that the costume here of Spider-Man has been found dead at a museum. All kinds of possibilities are spinning out from this. Again, this is Murphy acknowledges this again could be nothing, could be something. It could possibly be, the character, the actor looking at it could have been auditioning for Miles. He does go on in a similar tweet, clarifying that the actor in the video is actually 22 years old, younger than Tom Holland, and obviously didn't get whatever role he was auditioning for in the video, wouldn't have been publicly available. So he's not too old, but if it is Miles, they would probably go closer to, Iman Vellani's range age at that point from the video game. So it's interesting at that point. And again, it could be nothing, could be something. I don't know. What's your take on this?
So I didn't get a chance to watch the tape, and
neither did I. I've just seen a description from this.
Yeah, well, and with leaked audition tapes, there's only so much you can kind of take from it, in my book, because there's just so much unknowns, really, like how it was labeled Titans or something, like, and with Titans, tangent, but I genuinely think it's possible that they could just pull a random audition script out of thin air and try and make that work. In my book, I don't know if it's too early to introduce Miles as Spider-Man, just because I think Sony's trying to build up its universe. Would I lean a little more on the cautionary side to introducing Miles, just because I don't want Sony to get ahead of itself and try and build this universe off the success of Spider-Verse?
Mhm.
Yes, that does worry me. Um so that would be really my only cause for concern there. I do think it would be a great opportunity to have some diversity come right in. So I think
Yeah,
it's a good opportunity, but Sony being how Sony is, I do worry a little bit.
yeah, it's going to be interesting. In as we said, we just don't know if this is for Spider-Man 3 or just auditions that they're looking. The fact that to say that they're not either Disney, Sony, or other or anyone else looking at possibly casting live action Miles, saying they're not looking into it is kind of just being you're deluding yourself. At that point, they
Yeah.
definitely are considering it, like you said, with the success of Into the Spider-Verse. Miles is one of the most popular characters in Marvel Comics, has been for many, many years. So it to again, they are definitely considering it. I agree with you. The fact that, as the truth pointed out in the chat, he says his problem with Holland is that he feels more like a sidekick to Iron Man rather than being Spider-Man. And I put back in there, he does have a point. This is probably the most, you know, least confident yet in his own abilities Spider-Man that we've seen at that point. We've gone two movies where he's still trying to find himself, and that's okay in my opinion. But I think by the third one, it's time to ante up and kick in, and he needs to become the hero of the Spider-Man that we all expect him kind of to be at this point. I don't mind him going through more trials and tribulations, but I think if we go another one where he's continuing to doubt himself to the extent he was in the first two movies, I think there needs to be growth, and he's grown in each one of the movies. But I think it's time for that third movie for him to really make that big jump. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think Miles would be the perfect opportunity to kind of get that mentor aspect where Holland kind of says, okay, it's my turn to step up. And yes, you've got potential with the Young Avengers and everything, but right now we know Tom Holland's coming back and Chris, you know more about this than I do, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Tom's coming back for Spider-Man 3 and then one more team up movie.
Yes.
That's what correct. The contract between Sony and Marvel states. So if you want kind of to create that full circle, Marvel could go back. Tom Holland loves playing Spider-Man. So Marvel could go back and say, yes, we want Spider-Man to come back. We want to pay you more money, make the whole shebang work. But if Marvel wants to be able to close it out and make it feel like a complete arc, then Miles Morales would be the perfect opportunity for him to really come full circle, I would say, between being mentored by Tony and trying to find out who he is in the second movie to kind of becoming that figure that someone else can look up to in that sense. The thing that worries me is just my biggest qualm with Civil War is that it's not a Captain America movie in the end of it. It's a team up movie. So I don't want, as much as I'm not a big Spider-Man person, I don't want Tom Holland's Spider-Man movie, his final chapter in his trilogy, to become another team-up movie. It needs to focus on his development and really make Tom Holland as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker shine. It doesn't, I don't want a team-up movie. So with the Doctor Strange reports and everything, like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, like it can feel like a mess. And I don't want that because I do enjoy Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think it would be, kind of like spoiler alert for the video game at that point. The end of the first video game does basically show Miles getting the powers at that point, and you kind of see, him showcasing to Peter that he has the powers too. So, I could see kind of an end. We get finally introduced to a Miles. We know Miles exists in this universe due to
Mhm.
the phone call that was made from his uncle at that point in the first one. So we do know he exists. But to have him kind of introduced even just as Miles in this one, and then at some point getting the powers at the end of the movie, setting up something like that, I think that would be more than enough fan service to hint towards the future. I think that would be more than enough. I do want to
Oh,
see
yeah.
more focus on Peter. I don't think he's yet ready to take on that mentorship yet until the end of this movie. I think he still has some growth to do. And I think maybe Doctor Strange is how big of a role he's going to be in this movie. I think he's our last thing that's saying, you need to be out of Tony's shadow and become Spider-Man, not, as some say, his sidekick.
Well, and I do think Doctor Strange coming in is a good tie-in because obviously Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Iron Man were all on the spaceship going to the planet,
Mm-hmm.
so they had some growth there. So it's not like Captain America coming in with Spider-Man or with Peter Parker, and so there is some development there, is what I'm trying to say. So it's not just out of thin air. Doctor Strange is going to come in and mentor him. There is a relationship there to an extent. Yeah, I could see that. My goal here would be something similar to like just kind of a rescue situation where like you see, if you go in the direction that you stated where Miles isn't really Spider-Man in this instance, you kind of take it in the direction of, okay, Spider-Man and Miles meet and they have some sort of talk or some sort of where Spider-Man leaves Miles with just some words of wisdom,
Mm-hmm.
and he can kind of take that and grow with it. Because to me, from Into the Spider-Verse, Miles kind of looked up to Spider-Man, and so that's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm going off of. Comics could be completely different. I've said it in other podcasts, and I'll say it in this one too. I've never read a comic book, so
you
please
will be
don't
soon.
come after me.
You will be soon.
I will. We have plans.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting at that point because, the problem with this movie right now is there's so many different rumors and very little has been confirmed by Marvel and Sony and Disney at that point. We're going to get to another rumor at this point about another villain joining in. So at some point, there's going to be things that are going to shake out as true, and other things that just were rumor and never come true at that point. It could have been a consideration, but then they realized, oh my gosh, this whole movie is becoming a mess, which, unfortunately, some other trilogies have gotten into trouble with that. It's just too much at once, too many villains, too many characters, too many things at that point, and losing what the essence of what the movie should have been. So, yeah, so again, we'll put it in the we'll see column as with the next story with Tom Holland. Let's see if anything in the chat. Nathan goes, the MCU Spider-Man is 100% Iron Man sidekick. If there's a play on Batman and Robin. The truth says, I know Holland is a solid actor. I just think the writing is a little too silly. And for my taste, I do agree Spider-Man 2 is my favorite / best film. And Fanboy Clay says that there are so many good Marvel Star Wars comics. Sarah agrees with you on many good points, Katie. So again, someone likes your hot takes. And so, all right. So our next story, again, focusing still on Spider-Man. Tom Holland, Spider-Man 3 villains rumored to be the Spider Slayers and Spencer Smythe. Again, coming from Murphy's Multiverse, Spider-Man 3 rumored to feature Dr. Spencer Smythe, and the Spider Slayers as villains in the film. Murphy speculates that Smythe's connection to J. Jonah Jameson, who was revealed to be making a return at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, could add some credence to the Smythe and Spider Slayers inclusion. Murphy states that this could make Jameson a true threat to Peter as opposed to a lower level nuisance. He also notes that B.J. Novak played Alistair Smythe, Spencer Smythe's son, in Amazing Spider-Man 2, with Electro potentially returning as the same version from that film. This could tee up to Smythe's inclusion in this third Spider-Man iteration. And for those that don't know anything about the Spider Slayers and Dr. Spencer Smythe, he's a classic Spider-Man villain who
AKA
creates.
me.
What's that?
AKA me.
Yes, Katie. He is a classic Spider-Man villain who creates a legion of Spider-Man killing robots called the Spider Slayers. With Peter likely to be on the run from the beginning of Spider-Man 3, it would make sense that a group of robots intent on killing our favorite wall crawler to be featured in the film. It could also mark a change of pace if Spider-Man 3 goes full Spider-Verse storyline, posing threats to all versions of Peter in a similar fashion of Morlun and the Inheritors. So, it's an interesting one. Some of my questions right now are, in the comics, the Spider Slayers, in my opinion, are kind of B higher tier C villains. And I I personally don't see them as a major villain. I see obviously Electro being a major villain. They seem more like I could see them being kind of there in the beginning of the movie if Peter is truly outed at that point and people are hunting down Peter Parker at that point, a bounty on his head. I could see the Spider Slayers being a part of this, but I just don't see them being a main villain.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. I think it could be an interesting take, but again, we've heard so much about villains, and for Spider-Man 3, I just think there's so much other potential with what we've had in Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2, especially with Vulture. Um, you've got a lot of potential. So I just think it makes sense to go in a different direction where you can play off what you've already had. The J. Jonah Jameson tie-in might be something very interesting to see. Um, but at this point, um, I'm kind of waiting to see what happens. I mean, I don't know if this is allowed, but I'll go ahead and say this next story. Sony's already told us we're going to have a first look at Spider-Man 3 later this year. And I'm like, wait 1 second, where's my look at Eternals? Because Eternals is the one thing that's like catching my eye right now. But I mean, hopefully we'll get to see something there that kind of leads in a direction of where the villains are going to go, because I feel like we've heard Kraven, Vulture, Sinister Six. I don't know if we've heard Doc Ock, but like, yeah, there's been so many rumored villains for this. I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens.
Yeah, you're right. And the interesting thing is the Spider Slayers were actually originally planned to be featured in the Amazing Spider-Man third film. The villains would have been paired with Felicity Jones's Black Cat, but the cancellation of the third film prevented that from going forward. A potential inclusion of Smythe and the Spider Slayers could finally see a continuation of that potential storyline. Multiverse shenanigans, maybe bringing in BJ Novak's character, but again, that's a big if at this point. Again, all rumor here with this idea, but like you said, leading into our final Spider-Man story, as you said, like Sony came out of nowhere and said you're going to have a teaser or a preview in December, and that basically, I mean, we'd heard rumors, I think either last week or the week before, saying they're already starting filming, and they basically confirmed they are already starting filming on Spider-Man 3 right now. So that is impressive that they want to get something out there for us to see by the end of the year, which, how many months had the Batman been filming before we got that outstanding trailer?
Wait, repeat.
When we got the trailer, the teaser trailer at Fandom, how long had the Batman been filming before we got that?
I think maybe 4 weeks.
I just know it was very quick at that point. So I'm not saying I'm expecting the Batman level teaser or anything like that, but maybe they want to tease out and finally confirm some of the rumors at that point, which would be fine. I trust in Marvel. I do trust in Feige to not rush something out there just for the sake of doing it. But that's a big vote of confidence, from Sony saying that, and Marvel saying that we will have something out there by the end of December. So I don't know.
I think Max, what's going to happen, because we know Tom Holland's suit is also CGI, and there's nothing against that. I have nothing against that. but that can take some time to render. So, I mean, they have started filming now, and they said before the end of the year. So that could be, we could see it December 29th or whatever. I don't know.
Happy New
But
Year.
yeah, exactly. But probably what I'm thinking it's gonna be in line with is we already know, God, I can't think of his name, but I love him. J. Jonah Jameson, whatever his actor's name
Oh,
is.
J.K. Simmons.
Yes, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons has stated that he's filmed other appearances as J. Jonah Jameson for the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that's Morbius, whether that
Venom.
was Venom, a teaser for Spider-Man 3, I I think it's going to lead more in the direction of, okay, we're going to get a news segment from J. Jonah Jameson
Mm-hmm.
as the teaser, and it's going to end with the title description. You might see some
That's
footage of Peter running or something, but I think that's the teaser you're going to get.
That's an interesting. I like that idea in the sense of maybe, like you said, kind of shaky cam footage or slightly amateur / professional done at that point to kind of play in that world. That's a really interesting idea. That would be kind of a different way of doing it instead of just your straight teaser trailer at that point. The filming is currently shooting in Sunnyside, Queens, New York, and so expect probably some set leaks coming out as they get further underway. And the bulk of the principal photography will be moving to Atlanta through next year. So again, be on the lookouts. I know we've gotten tons of footage from the Batman now that they're back in production. We're getting more and more finalization of set leaks and stuff like that from the Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I've been avoiding with a passion because more and more spoilers have been coming out of that. So I'm avoiding that. But we'll see. So, but with the end of this, with all the Spider-Man talk for our main topic, I'm going to take our first ad break. I know. Yep. Taking that ad break. As you know, listeners, these ads help support, keep the Geek Ultimate Alliance, keep the web fluid and Spidey's web shooters going. We don't exactly. That's our little take on it in Marvel Alliance. So we don't get to choose what ads come on, and they sometimes can be a bit loud. So we do a 3 count so that you can turn that volume down. 3, 2, 1. We'll be back in a minute. All right. So let us move on from our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man to some more misdirection and denials and just strangeness going on in the MCU. Quite took me by surprise with this news, especially how long it took. We have coming from the direct Marvel She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany denies MCU casting reports. In an interview with the Sudbury Star, Tatiana Maslany claimed that the casting reports about her playing the titular character in She-Hulk are not true. Her quote is, "That actually isn't a real thing, and it's like a press release that's gotten out of hand. It's totally not. I've been connected to these things in the past, and the press has gotten onto it, but it's actually not a thing, unfortunately." She says, "Yeah, I don't know how these things get started. I don't know. I know better. You know better. I have no idea," and laughs it off. Now, this casting came about 3 to 4 weeks ago. Mark Ruffalo, who we've anointed our MCU welcome wagon, said, welcome to the family cuz. I believe even the showrunner or director had even come out and just simply given like a green heart, with the
Yeah,
retweeting of the Deadline story. And Deadline again is not one of our verifieds, it's one that
exactly.
they put it out there. We know it's got some credence, and they have not retracted said story. Now the MCU has a very long history of their major castings denials, going from Paul Rudd, going from Benedict Cumberbatch, Evangeline Lilly, Jeremy Renner. Rumors came out early, at the time they were asked about them, they denied them, but they had already been cast and then later came out. So the fact that this took 3 to 4 weeks for her to even say something, and it wasn't even to, and I'm not trying to lessen the the Sudbury star by any stretch, but again, you didn't see an immediate deny. All you heard was Marvel didn't confirm, Disney to confirm. 3 to 4 weeks later, she makes a off cuff the remark when asked about it by this newspaper or this magazine. I'm claiming that this is her, that the ink is not dried yet. They're still finishing out final negotiations, and or if they are final, Marvel is not ready to announce, and she's been told to keep quiet about it and deny.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Basically at this point, her agent even might have said, okay, no, if you want more money, then you need to come out and deny this a little bit more and see if Marvel can get you to offer more, can get you more money or something. But to me, she's already committed to it at this point. It's just a matter of when she's allowed to talk about it. Murphy's Multiverse put together a list of it, even of people who had denied it, or Marvel actors now who had denied their casting in the movie before it came out. Like, you had both Ant-Man stars, Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly, Benedict Cumberbatch denied it. So the possibilities are endless. It seems a little on the strange side for a TV show, but I also have some qualms about what we've heard about She-Hulk. So
what are your qualms? I want to hear these.
Well, we've heard so much about like Bruce Banner being a part of it, and we knew Mark Ruffalo was going to be a part of it to an extent, but now we're hearing like, oh, young Bruce Banner will be a part of it, and I'm like, no, this is She-Hulk. This is not the Bruce Banner show. Like, I'm better be getting a lot of She-Hulk in this. That's really my only qualm, but
no,
we've just heard so much about that.
You're exactly right at that point. Particularly, I think when we had looked at the idea that we were going to be supposedly seeing Bruce's like history, his very dark history with his father, how abusive his father was, seeing it through her eyes at that point, and we kind of equated to, as long as her development of her as a person is being the defender of those who are weaker and things like that, which is who Walters is in this one. She is a defender of those who are thought of less of at that point. But you're right, they have to do a very careful ground. It's I equated to the Supergirl issue. That's why we took so long to see even Superman in the show, and when he was in the show, it was used for a purpose sparingly and then go off the way, which is now, we're heading into the final season of Supergirl with Superman and Lois getting their own show at that point. So you're right. It is a very tricky ground. Use it as a introduction, but I don't want them to rely too much, or else you lose the focus of the show, which again, I'll trust in the MCU. They've so far haven't steered me too wrong in their reasons behind this, but yeah, it does something that needs to be worked out. And I hope I love the idea of the casting. I'm a huge fan of hers. I said it when it was cast. I think she's an outstanding actress, and her range to do this part, but I'm really, really hoping and cross my fingers that she's just playing the Feige game and Marvel's game and just saying deny, deny, deny. But again, the fact that it took her 3 to 4 weeks to come out with anything says to me, yeah, I think you're cast. I think you're just playing quiet.
Yeah.
So, all right, we get another casting that was not confirmed, but Deadline breaking this story. Deadline shared a report that Doctor Strange 2 Babysitter's Club star, and I had to look this up and hear her pronounce her name, because looking at her name, I did not know where to begin. So Babysitter's Club star Xochitl Gomez joins Benedict Cumberbatch in the next Doctor Strange installment. And so has joined the cast and in an unknown role. Deadline also revealed that this would mark Gomez's first role in a studio tentpole after serving as one of the leads in Netflix's The Babysitter's Club series. Gomez also starred in other projects such as Roped and Shadow Wolves. Meanwhile, at the same time, movie insider Daniel Reichman pointed out that she could very well be playing the young hero America Chavez, who goes by the codename Miss America. And this has been rumored for a while. Back in January, the Illuminati broke the story based on details from casting notes they acquired, suggesting that America Chavez might soon be making her Marvel Cinematic Universe debut in Doctor Strange 2. So, look, I'm sorry, I have not seen the Babysitter's Club on Netflix. I will add it to my queue. first, I need to finish up Schitt's Creek, and then maybe then it'll make my queue. But in looking
Is that
at
any good?
Schitt's Creek, oh, it's outstanding.
Okay.
Absolutely, you
I
have to
think
get through
Matt and I
the
are gonna
first.
watch that next.
You have to get through the first season. Because like a lot of comedies, in my opinion, the first season, most comedies are still trying to figure out who they are. But after that, it's great. It's like 20-25 minute episodes. I mean, you can wipe out seasons in like, a couple of hours. So I know, yes, exactly what we want to hear, especially in pandemic. So
Yes.
totally. But exactly. But she looks like a perfect casting for America Chavez. So it'd be really cool. And, for for as Katie said, she is not a fan of the comics. Let me give a brief little rundown of who America Chavez is and why I think that they're on to something. She was created in 2011 by Joe Casey and Nick Dragata as a new incarnation of the Miss America character. Chavez really came to prominence as a member of the 2013 Young Avengers series by Kieran Gillen and Jamie McKevley. She's a brash and confident brawler with a soft side, but she only opens up when she's with her closest friends. She's also an openly gay young woman, which would be a major step forward towards representation in the MCU. She also hails from an alternative reality to the core MCU. America was raised in a utopian parallel and idyllic dimension that was disconnected from the other realities. When she was a child, her mothers were forced to sacrifice their lives to seal a pair of black holes that were threatening the dimension. Later in life, America was able to master the power she received due to her proximity to the ambient magical forces growing up. This includes flight, superhuman strength, and speed, near invulnerability, and most notably, of all the abilities to create star portals. Using her incredible strength, America can actually break open star-shaped portals that allow her and others to travel across space, time, and even the entire multiverse. So,
dun dun dun.
So thus we drop the big smoking gun at this point. And again, Marvel denies. Marvel has no comment on this. No initial denial at that point. But again, like I said, next to Spider-Man 3, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness are probably my two most anticipated movies for Phase 4. And this would be cool. I mean, I think the Marvel and Feige have shown, at least in recent castings and directions and focuses, they are really trying to correct the mistakes of the first couple of phases of representation. And I think their castings and bringing in characters like America Chavez, and not only being from Latinx but also a lesbian at that point, I think there are so many things that, particularly because she's not being brought in because of this, she's being brought in because her power set can fit very well into what Doctor Strange 2 is about, is the multiverse. I've seen her portrayal in animation. It is outstanding. I think she is a spitting image from the comic, the actress. If she is not America Chavez, I'd be shocked. So, but I mean, what do you think with not only this casting, but do you feel Marvel's making positive steps forward with representation?
I think this is a good step in the right direction. especially if you can bring in that LGBTQ um representation right there off the bat. Um it's kind of why I think Miles would be a great option
Mhm.
for the MCU to bring in, because he's right there and he's very popular right now. Um but America Chavez, from what I've heard of her, because I did some initial research back in January, when I believe she was rumored
Mhm.
to be a part of the movie. So she seems really interesting to me. It'll be I'm curious to see if how they'll choose to orient her beginning. Whether
Mhm.
they make her from an alternate reality, or if she's already traveled to this reality and is kind of stuck here for some reason, or maybe she accidentally came into this world and is now stuck here and Doctor Strange has to teach her how to use her powers. I don't know. Um, it'll be interesting to see one way
Mhm.
or another. The Young Avengers portion that they seem to be setting up, especially with like Cassie from Ant-Man.
Mhm.
It'll be good to see how things go. Um if we ever see them, because we all know MCU's material depends on everything else.
Oh yes,
So
it does, and it's gotten to an area where, and I know you and I have talked about it on SCS of now we're entering the phases of Marvel where it's going to be very interesting to see how much homework an audience needs to do in order to do it. Can you just get away with watching the movies, or do you have to do Disney Plus at that point? And I think that's a very
mhm.
tricky ground for Marvel and Disney to start treading. But yeah, Brent and I, Travis and I have been saying for a while that they it seems to be Marvel is leaning towards either a Young Avengers or Champions. At that point, to see with Stature, Cassie Lang, now the rumors of America Chavez, the supposed introduction of the twins of Wanda and Vision at that point, who were a
Yep.
part of this team, Miles. So I would definitely love to see either, one way or another, either a Disney Plus show, a MCU movie at that point, mixture of the two. I think it'd be great. Again, more of the castings like this, and as Fanboy Clay says, I need that Latinx representation. America Chavez 100%.
Yep.
So again, we'll have to see. Next story, we've got some interesting, even though Falcon and Winter Soldier is definitely coming to a close from all rumors of filming at that point, wrapping filming, we do have some confirmed casting. On the block, actor Danny Ramirez joins Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed that Danny Ramirez will be taking a pivotal role in the Disney Plus, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier for Marvel Studios. His role in the miniseries is undisclosed at this time. Danny Ramirez became yet another up and coming young star that will fill some kind of important role in the MCU's most anticipated Disney Plus project. He already has an impressive resume, including credits in Netflix's On the Block and Fox's Marvel based TV network show, The Gifted. He will also be a part of the highly anticipated sequel to in Top Gun Maverick. While the role is still under wraps, there is a belief that it will be a pivotal through the course of this new miniseries. And the filming is in the final days, wrapping in Europe. So this is interesting. It's always interesting. And I think I equate it to The Mandalorian. We had a lot of casting come out when filming wrapped.
Yeah.
And it's rather interesting that they make these things known, because I think it's a studio's job to control the story as much as possible. And I think as a big set photo leaks came out, and I've avoided it, and I've told some of our illustrious Marvel fans to avoid it, as that supposedly a big major villain has been confirmed through set photo leaks of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And I've not looked at it. I don't care to know it. Don't bother telling me it. I want to experience it on my own. But the fact that they're calling out his role as pivotal, maybe he's the supposed villain. I don't know. But the fact that the Hollywood Reporter calls it a pivotal role says something big.
Uh yeah, I don't have a lot of comments on this one, just because I don't know enough.
Mhm.
I haven't really seen anything he's in, so it'll be curious to see what it is. Um really, I just want some Falcon and Winter Soldier material. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know they're still filming, but I mean, WandaVision, even like we've gotten a trailer for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just give it to
So
us.
yeah, I mean, as of yet, really, The Mandalorian's been the only Disney Plus like adult fiction show you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm really wanting to see these Marvel stuff. Because for me, when Endgame, or not really Endgame, because I wanted to see Spider-Man 2, but when Home Away from Home came out, Spider-Man 2,
Far away from
uh,
far
far
from
away
home.
from home.
Far
Oh
from
my
home. Far from
gosh,
home. Far
it's
from
been
home.
that long.
Far away from home. Far from home.
I should have stuck with Spider-Man 2, damn it.
There you go.
When Spider-Man 2 came out, I kind of was like, okay, I'm done with Marvel movies. Like I'm kind of bored. Like
Mhm.
I need something else. So I was really excited for the TV shows because A, it's more material, and B, it's formatted differently. So you're not getting quite as general looks as the movie gets you. So I'm really curious to see what Marvel's gonna pull out of here. Like WandaVision totally caught my eye. Falcon and Winter Soldier. I love those two guys. Don't get me wrong, but I want to see something that says, okay, this is why I should care about this. Like Black Widow, I'm not interested in it because she's dead. So I, this, that's just where I'm at with MCU right now. Is just I need some more emotion into the storyline to get me
Yeah,
to care.
and like I think we've gone into on all our network shows in one way or another is just that we don't know what the direction is at this point for where is Marvel heading, because there's a lot of pieces
Mhm.
on the table. We've got multiverse on the table now. We've got where are the Fantastic Four going to be introduced? Where are the X-Men going to be introduced? I know we talked about in the last show or two was Disney Plus is where um Disney is going to be putting its focus, and we've already seen that with Marvel. So there's a lot of chips on the board, and obviously plans change at that point, but hopefully they've got some back, with Feige, you're going to be backwards planning and saying, where is this all ending up? How are you going to bring this together? Because that's Marvel's thing. They're going to make everything connected, and sometimes that can be a detriment, at this point with what Marvel's done, or it can be, they were able to pull off this, but again, we didn't have Disney Plus at that point to really introduce it. We're going to see, can they wield all these different pieces and can they all come together? So
Yeah, and I mean Marvel did a great job of doing that through the beginning phases, but I think at this point, um, like we've said with Spider-Man 3, like we've just said, there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, even when it comes down to the pandemic, or even when it comes down to just where is the direction of the
mhm.
MCU going. Um, so to me, Marvel just got to start putting its money where its mouth is, and kind of show people, okay, we've. I know COVID took a rock out of their plans, but they've got to start showing us something of where this is going, because and, I've said it before, and Black Widow is not the way to introduce Phase 5. It's not.
Phase 4.
Phase 4 is it? Why do I feel like there's been 4 phases? Oh my
I know.
gosh. I'm on the wrong show.
It's all good. It's all good.
It's not the way to start Phase 4.
No,
Because she's not going to be in more movies.
yeah. As we say in comics, you're dead until we find a story to bring you back that makes sense. So,
It would have been one thing if Black Widow had come out instead of like Captain Marvel in that space and said, "Oh, here's that Budapest story that you've always wanted to know about.
we're
Here
gonna
you
get
go."
it.
Yeah. But now I'm like, okay, well, she died in a pit. Why do I need the Budapest story now? You're not going to give me anything else. I get it. I know I've said it way too many times on other podcasts.
It's all good. It's all good. I get it. You definitely have some points where that is that your points definitely are definitely with merit. I definitely can't dismiss them and say you're wrong. Fanboy Clay goes, she's coming back in Doctor Strange. They'll pluck her out from another Earth. I'm still going on the idea that her sister is going to take on the mantle at that point. I think that's the most, in my opinion, it's the most worst kept secret at that point. But hey, why not? Let's poke her out of a reality and make death not matter. I don't want that, because I think her death needs to stay. It in so many different forms. We have to have stakes, and I think her death matters. And it's kind of like Tony has to stay dead, in my opinion, right now.
Yeah.
And because we've got to have villains created by Tony Stark still. We got to have the ghost of Tony Stark will never, so we'll take a line from Star Trek. He's not really dead as long as we remember him. So and still like with Black Widow. So but all right, so we got some more, kind of like looking at WandaVision at that point. Tanaya Paris teases "quote unquote" badass hero, lots of action in Disney Plus show WandaVision. In a new interview with the Undefeated, the WandaVision star Tanaya, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Tanaya Paris gave some insight on her experience playing the character Monica Rambeau, along how excited she is. She said that she revealed that when she was asked why exactly she decided to take on the new MCU role, that has been a childhood dream option to be a Marvel superhero. I can even remember I've always said that, like, I want to be a superhero. And then when the MCU opened up, I think I was in college, and it was like, oh, I want to be a Marvel superhero. She revealed that a superhero role like this one wasn't even on her radar for a long time, and before she even officially signed on, saying that that's not going to happen, or who knows, and then it happened, and it wasn't. And when I tell you it wasn't on my radar at the moment, I still can't believe it's on my radar. Finally, she dove into how excited she is to play the part and what she thinks of Monica Rambeau. She said, "I'm very grateful to be a part of this universe, and Monica Rambeau is such a badass. She's such a badass in the comics, and I can't even believe this is happening. This is full-on action movie mixed with sitcom. It's wild." Which is exactly what I want to hear with WandaVision.
It is, but at the same time, I'm like, we haven't seen enough. I'm like, and I'm the last person to typically say that, because I'm like, I don't want spoilers in a trailer, but I'm like, I need to see more footage. Like, this is driving me up the wall, because I'm a know-it-all, and
you don't know it all yet.
I don't, and I never will, and I've got to accept that at some point. But that's a conversation for my therapist. No, but it's just, you want people. This isn't just a cable show that people have on the day-to-day. Like, people were able to get involved with like Supernatural and NCIS because they just had cable and it was on. You're actually wanting people to pay for this service. Not that they weren't paying for cable, but you want people to go pay for a separate service other than cable, other than HBO Max or whatever you have, to go watch WandaVision. But yet you've only shown a minute and 15 seconds. Plus a second here or there on another Disney Plus commercial. Like, you got to tell people, what is it?
Well, to add on, I think this is a hard show right now, that they're treading a lot of lines in the sense that you want to know more, but if they reveal too much more, you stand the ground to spoiling a lot of things. I think, particularly with it, I think you could say that about any show, but I think this one is so, and I've said it before, this is the most off brand that we would expect Marvel to do. And I think the treading of that was with Guardians of the Galaxy. This is so far off the realm. I can't even believe they're doing something like this. And I think the trailers, the teasers we've got are just the idea of like, I just want to check out this show because I don't know where the heck this is going.
Mhm.
And-
Well,
and- so
and that's the thing, but I think the way the marketing was handled with the Mandalorian last year
mhm,
was very well done, and because
true.
it was the first live action Star Wars TV show. No one knew where this was going to go. We knew it was the Mandalorian, or we knew a Mandalorian was involved in that point, but we
Mhm,
didn't know where it was going to go. And so to me, they showed probably 2 minutes of a scene in that in a couple, like they had a trailer, yes, but
mhm.
then they also took, you heard it from me, Monday Night Football last year was a full scene. It wasn't necessarily a trailer,
Yeah.
but it was enough to kind of show you, okay, here's a setting and here's some plot details, but here's where we are. And this one scene's not going to really tell you anything, but it's going to show you what we've got.
Oh yeah, and we have to, and I know you know this as well, but this was not meant to be the first
Yeah.
Disney Plus show, and so Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be. Well, that didn't finish filming, and so they needed to. They had WandaVision in the can or in very good post production, where they said we need to get out something, and so we're gonna have to
Yeah.
shuffle it and put it out there. So, I'll give them forgiveness on that. The marketing was not ready to do this, but the idea that they've got the trailer, they've got the talking points. We've got the investors call coming up in a month, in about a little over a month. So where we're going to hear a lot more. And I think whenever this does drop, I do not, we've seen some of the coding saying it's going to be, after, Thanksgiving weekend at that point. I don't believe that. I don't think Disney's about to shoot themselves in the foot with premiering with right in the middle of Mandalorian being out there, also putting WandaVision
Yeah.
out there. I think it's going to be the only way I see that happening is if you have Mandalorian and you shot and you silent drop and you surprise drop the final episode of Mandalorian, you also drop WandaVision. But I don't see them even doing that. I think we're going to wrap up Mandalorian and then next week you do WandaVision in December. And I think the latest trailer for Disney Plus has pretty close to confirm that WandaVision will be out pretty much in December when Mandalorian wraps up.
Yeah.
So.
The final episode of Mandalorian is supposed to come out December 18th.
Oh wow! So
Um,
yeah, so we're gonna be basically premiering WandaVision in the Christmas holidays.
well, and that's what a lot of people were rumored that it was saying, was Christmas,
Mm,
doing a Christmas drop for it.
yeah,
And that makes a lot of sense.
then that's a big double drop then at that point because we've got Soul premiering Christmas Day on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
So that's going to be interesting. So I can see kind of now understanding that the rumors of possibly it being considered to being at the same time Mandalorian. I just don't see that happening. I think that a good streaming service we have seen that you wrap up your premiere show at that point and then follow it up with your next premiere show to keep that subscriber base going.
Well, and that could be the case, but we know Disney Plus has kind of gone with the Friday drops,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it makes sense. Um, to me, I would consider at this point potentially doing a Marvel on a separate day, and
That'd be
because
interesting.
you know you're going to have a lot of Marvel content coming, and so it's not always going to be possible to only have one original fiction show going at once. So to me, you get in the habit of, you say, okay, I'm going to have 3 Marvel shows going year round, whether it's WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Young Avengers, or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you say, okay, they're all rotating days. They all start on Mondays or Tuesdays, whatever, and they all drop year round. And maybe you take it that way. I do see what you're saying, but I think about making sure you have subscribers built up and making sure they keep coming back for additional content. But you also want to establish some consistency with your subscriber
Yep.
base, and you want to say, okay, your Star Wars stuff, because Star Wars is going to get to that point too, where Star Wars is going to have 3 shows going at once. You're gonna
Mhm.
have Cassian Andor coming in, hopefully soon, and then you've got Kenobi coming. And goodness knows what else
Hopefully
could come up.
soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Well, Bad Batch is supposed to come in April,
Yeah.
according to people. So, I mean, you're gonna have animated shows come in too for Star Wars.
Hmm.
You could potentially see something similar, very similar for MCU. So to me, you need to start establishing some consistency as if you've been here for 3 or 4 years and you want some consistent drops. You want to say, okay, Marvel is gonna drop on Mondays. Star Wars is gonna drop on Fridays. Anything else is gonna drop on Fridays.
Yeah, that is interesting, as you say, bringing in more and more of their big content at that point. I could definitely see that being an idea. And they also, if Falcon and the Winter Soldier does wrap filming soon, as it appears to be doing, how many months of post production, and can they get this done in time to possibly not have a huge delay between WandaVision and that drop? That's why I think maybe them pushing it to December gives them some more lead time to wrap it up. It'd be amazing if they can drop it right after WandaVision is done, but if they can find a short little time that, put in, like you said, the Bad Batch I know you're saying that's supposedly going to be dropping in April. Obviously, WandaVision will be long gone, long and done by that point. So they got to have something to kind of put out there as well. I could see Falcon and Winter Soldier being a late spring, early summer drop at this point, because again, if they're still not fully wrapped with production, and usually post production takes a couple of months, with no idea if they're going to do additional photography yet, I don't foresee it being in early spring. I don't.
Yeah, to me, if you wanted to continue Marvel content before the hopeful premiere of
Oh,
Black Widow in May,
I, I got
you
your
might could
idea.
see a February.
I got what they could do. What if this should be done? What if should be ready? I think that might be their next one. I think that's where they're
Yeah,
going to go to. If it's already done, it's all animated at that point. Voice has been done and in the can. I think they needed a quote unquote tentpole. WandaVision was it. What if is not? That's what they could do. They could put in what
yeah,
if, then you lead into Bad Batch, then you get Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Boom. You're welcome.
yeah.
You're welcome, Disney. Um,
We'll be here forever, Disney. Don't
Yes,
worry.
we'll be. We got the hot takes and the way you plan this all out. But yeah, I mean, kind of wrapping it back up to, I'm excited about Monica Rambeau. All we get to see her a little bit in that trailer. She's an outstanding character in Marvel Comics. She does become Captain Marvel at one point and takes on her own namesake as well. But just to have her introduced in this and hopefully being a part of Sword at that point will be cool. So like you said, Katie, I want it now and I can't wait to finally see it.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, that is our last story for the news. So with that, we're going to take a quick another ad break at that point. As you know, listeners, as I said before, these ads help the Geek Ultimate Alliance keep the Web Fluid and Spidey's web shooters. We don't get to choose what ads come on, but they can be a bit loud. So if you'll give you a 3 count in order to turn your volume down so you don't blow out those eardrums. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. So, let me pull up as I do this very quickly because I was not prepared, caught me off guard in my own show. Let me pull up last week's fact or fictions so that way we can look at the results that just finally finished up.
Perfect distraction time, Chris.
Exactly. All right. There we go. Yes. All right. So first fact or fictions. These came from Brent last week. Wanda will be retconned to include her mutant origins. The Mind Stone will be said to have activated and enhanced her powers as opposed to creating them, as is the current understanding. 64% said fact, 36% said fiction. So I think I was pretty fact on that one, just because, again, we got to get mutants in here somehow. So why not do it like that? Any opinion on fact or fiction on that one, Katie?
Yeah, I think especially it made sense her origin when you didn't have X-Men, but now that you do, um, it's kind of the perfect opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Next one is Ant-Man 3 will feature Cassie suiting up as Stature. Not even close. 100%. Who voted said this was fact, and I think we both have said on this show that we also feel like that's a foregone conclusion.
Mhm.
And our last one, Tom Holland will have an appearance at some point on a Disney Plus show. 64% say fact, 36% say fiction. Um, I can't remember where I stood on that one. I can kind of go back and forth. Do I? I don't know. I think if that's his cameo or that's his team up, I don't know. I'd kind of need. I don't know where we would fit him in yet in the Disney Plus show. I think he's stuck in the movies for a little bit.
Yeah.
But all right, so you definitely have two solid fact or fictions. So usually we have three, but you were scratching your head on that third. So we'll have two for tonight's show. So I'm very
Well,
curious to
okay.
see what you're gonna hit me with.
So I might have come up with a third one. I was
All
looking
right,
at
there
some
we go.
fun
I love it.
facts on Marvel. So
All right.
okay. First one, we will see a Star Wars Marvel crossover at some point.
We will see a Star Wars Marvel crossover. Like, are we
They
talking
both
about?
get written for the same comic, so
That is true. So you're talking about TV or streaming or movie?
yeah.
Okay. I will say fact on that, and I will explain where I'm going to come from. I say, and this has only come out recently because I see they're doing this, we will see a Lego Marvel and Star
Oh.
Wars crossover on Disney Plus. If we're gonna get crazy, I say that is the right now in my mind, that's the only feasibly way I see that happening. Because we're getting a Lego Star Wars holiday special, if you all didn't know.
Yes. Perfection.
And I need to see some B. Arthur in that, or at least some homages to B. Arthur. So what do you say? It's your fact or fiction. What do you say?
I would say facts.
All right.
I think it's gonna happen. It kind of works out whether it's in a what if type thing
Mhm.
or not. You could just have all the planets on another galaxy. So
That's true.
you could be multiple realities.
Fanboy Clay says it's already happened. It's called Wreck-It Ralph. Very true. Very true. All right, what's your next one?
Okay, so fact or fiction, we'll see Dormammu again.
I say definitely fact at that one. He's a big part of the Doctor Strange baddies at that point. I could see him coming back in the third one. I'm not sure about the second one. So yeah, I think he's coming back.
Ooh, okay.
How about you?
I would say so.
Do you foresee him in this one or the third one?
I would say the third one, as like he's rebuilding in the second one,
Mm-hmm.
but then Dormammu's the main villain of the third one.
Gotcha. All right. And what is your last one?
So I'm scrolling more facts because I was debating it. um, so I don't know if y'all have talked about this one already or not,
Okay.
but so Mystique, obviously she's very well featured in the Fox X-Men movies. So fact or fiction, the MCU will choose to downgrade her role just because of her prominence in the previous movies.
We haven't talked about. I think we talked about roundabout like who would be our new lead focus since in the first class when she was an interesting choice to be the kind of our lead for that part of the franchise. I say yes. I say that she will be relegated to a villain team at that point. Brotherhood of Evil Mutants going to be back to with Magneto. But yeah, I say fact on that. When and if she's reintroduced.
Yeah, I would think so too, just especially because I know the big question of the hour is Wolverine, but I think Wolverine's gonna get downgraded as well. Um just because of
There's another hot take.
not because of his prominence in other roles, but just
Mhm.
because the Fox X-Men, especially kind of the original main cast, like I know you can't downgrade Professor X and you can't really downgrade Magneto, but you, the X-Men team doesn't have to incorporate certain people. It can be a variety.
Mhm.
So the MCU will probably, because of how prominent Wolverine is, and especially with how Hugh Jackman's character has been, same thing with Mystique. Like those two have been kind of the most prominent lesser X-Men characters,
Yeah.
I would say. So to me, the MCU, especially when it went with Iron Man, and I know they had kind of sold off everyone at that point, but the MCU kind of leans into more of the unknown characters. And so because of their prominence, they're just going to kind of be not backburnered, but like they're going to try and bring others to light so that they can still leave those casting choices in the front of people's minds
Yeah.
until the cycle kind of hits. So
No, I think you definitely have a point. I think Travis and I have said that we don't see Wolverine being introduced into the MCU until the second one. If he is
mhm.
introduced in the first movie, it'll be an Easter egg at the end or your end credits at that point. But yeah, all right. So we will post those and take everyone's opinion. Do you agree with our hot takes on this? And what are your ideas at that point? So we'll definitely post those. So as you obviously have seen, Travis Snell is not here. His work schedule threw him a curve at the last minute, so he will not be here with us obviously this week and next week. We have another guest host lined up at that point. We've got Greg coming in next week at that point, but not to be outdone, we did decide last week that our comic book corner was going to be Cosmic Ghost Rider. We were not going to wait and delay that until Travis's return. So kind of like how we wrapped up Hoxpox, we pre-recorded the idea. We recorded our takes on Cosmic Ghost Rider #1 earlier this week. If you're a patron, you've already heard this. And now, without further ado, for those of you that haven't, are not patrons at this point, here is past Travis and Chris talking about Cosmic Ghost Rider #1. All right. Thank you very much, past Chris and Travis. At that point, some interesting takes at that point for a very wild ride we are in for with Cosmic Ghost Rider. So we'll be continuing on with that with next week with #2. And but yeah, we have come to an end of another Marvel Alliance #21. We are now legal. At that point, Marvel Alliance can now legally drink.
Amen.
Amen to that at that point. But I didn't say it. I thanked you at the top of the show, Katie. Thank you. I want to thank you again. Thank you so much for coming on and helping me out, helping Travis out with carrying on the show at this point. I love your hot takes. Love you as a friend at that point. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It was a lot of fun.
No problem. This was a blast. I know I'm not the biggest MCU stan, but
that's okay.
I enjoy it.
That's okay. We don't always, again, I value people who, Greg's going to be on next week, and he's the co-host of DC Alliance, and he likes Marvel at that point, but his first love is always going to be DC. So, and I love Marvel. I think DC just in different levels at that point. I wouldn't say I prefer one over the other at this point, but obviously it's good to have differing opinions at that point. So, but thank you so much for coming on. And before we say our final goodbyes, why don't you tell people your shows again and how they can follow you?
I was gonna say something about Daredevil, but now I'll just stop. So you can find me, the woman without fear, on the Twitterverse, at KGirlShop13. I host 2 shows on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Podcast Network, and I sometimes make an appearance on Super Civil Servants on Friday nights. But you can find my film review podcast where I go over films that 9 times out of 10 I haven't seen before. That podcast is at Slice of Film 1. Tomorrow, when you're hearing this, or if you're watching this live on YouTube right now, in 2 days, you will hear me and Sarah Taylor go over Twilight Part 2. And so that one was a really fun conversation. I hope you'll give that one a listen, because we went over 3 Twilight movies in 2.5 hours. That I impressed myself with.
That's a lot of Twilight. It's a lot of sparkles.
Sparkly vampires. No, but in 2 weeks on Day 2, we're going over Batman versus Superman Ultimate Edition. So that will be a fun one.
Yes.
But then sorry.
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, so the other show I host is Star Wars Alliance, with Nathan, who's also a co-host on the Super Civil Servants podcast. That show will be live every other Thursday to talk about all news in your favorite galaxy far, far away. And then starting November 1st, you can see us live on YouTube Sunday mornings to discuss Mandalorian Season 2, the newest episodes. And then Star Wars Alliance will be dropping hopefully Sunday afternoons in your podcast feeds. So, yeah.
Awesome. So again, if you're
and that's Star Wars Alliance without the A in the wars.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So again, check out the shows, check out Katie on all her writings. She's got some great takes. She's got her hot takes at that point, and look up her hot takes if you've never heard them before on Daredevil. So you can follow. So thank you, listeners, for taking us on another episode of Marvel Alliance. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast, and me personally at Chris Balga. You can follow Travis Snell at Travis B. Snell. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, fact or fictions, ask questions. Glad to have your input. Join us for the live chats. And again, if you have a few minutes or
oh gosh.
or whichever platform you listen to your podcasts on. And then thank you as always for listening. To those of you in the live chat, thank you for joining us in live. For the listeners, as always, thank you so much. Thank you, Katie. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.